and welcome to the Publishing Insiders Radio Show. I'm really excited to be here today with Michael Stelzner. He is the author, well, first off, he is the author of Launch, which is a fantastic book that I just got done reading, and I've been a huge fan of his through the Social Media Examiner, which, Mike, first off, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Penny, for having me.
How long ago did you start the Social Media Examiner? Because it seems like I've been reading that forever.
Social Media Examiner was started in October of 2009, so that puts us at about 2 years and 2 months, so we're just a baby.
That's incredible. You have amassed, I mean, I was very intrigued reading that story in Launch. You have really amassed an amazing following. What are your subscriber, your Twitter followers?
So we have 450,000 people a month that read Social Media Examiner, and then we have about 120,000, actually a little more than 120,000 on our email subscription list, and 68,000 on Facebook, so quite a few.
That is amazing. You talk about how you did that. Tell our listeners, what was your idea? What was the idea behind Social Media Examiner, and how did you amass such numbers?
Well, the idea was simple. If we could create incredible content that people would love and want to share, then I knew that we could build something. And I saw back around 2009 kind of a hole, if you will, in the marketplace. There was a lot of people writing about social media, but there wasn't a lot of how-to kind of information, and I knew businesses were going to want to know, how the heck do I use Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and now Google+. So we just started writing about that type of content more in a magazine style, and people started coming and they started sharing, and we started growing, and it kind of took off.
And your concept of, you talk about, sharing content and getting other experts. We talk, our focus in our company is specifically to authors and publishers. And a lot of times authors want to have their own content. So the blog is just about them, their content is just about them. And that's flawed logic, right?
Well, I think there is a time and a place to talk about yourself. When my first book came out, my blog was called Michael Stelzner's Writing White Papers, because the book was called Writing White Papers. But the moral of the story is that people don't really care so much about you and me as much as they do themselves. So if you really want to build a loyal following upon which you can hopefully sell lots of books, and there's a reason why you're writing books, probably for some other business purpose, for example, to get a consultancy gig or who knows what, build your membership site or whatever it is. In order to do that, you need to give people something that I call a gift, which is great content. And great content is not something that is about you necessarily. It's more about what their needs are. In Social Media Examiner's case, it was about 10 tips on how to build a loyal fan base on Facebook, or how to use LinkedIn to find leads. The kind of things that we knew businesses were interested in. And this is the kind of content we produce every day, and this is the reason why we've grown as much as we have.
Yeah, because you really, in the first 6 months of the life of Social Media Examiner, the numbers were pretty astounding.
Absolutely. We were ranked one of the top 100 small business blogs in the world by Technorati. We had over 100,000 people come into the site within the first couple months. And we had 10,000. Within 3 months, we had 10,000 people on our email subscription list. And by the way, we didn't do anything. We didn't buy advertising. We didn't actively promote the site. We just basically enabled people that came to the site to share it. And that's really been the key, putting things on the site that allow people to share it on Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter, and all of a sudden these people become evangelists for the content, and more people come. Yeah,
exactly. You talk about the elevation principle in your book. Can you explain to our listeners what that is?
Sure. If you think your business like a rocket ship, you're at the helm and you're trying to drive this crazy piece of machinery into some place that you're not there yet. In order to get your business moving forward, you need 3 basic things. You need great content, and you need other people, and then you need to pack away your marketing messages. It's a very simple formula. So great content is stuff that you know because when it's the stuff you love, printing out, saving as PDF files, bookmarking, sharing with your friends. It's the how-to stuff. It's the case studies. It's the reviews of products or services that are detailed. The other people component means focusing that content on your core audience, but secondly, finding people in your industry, perhaps even your competition or your peers, and tapping their brain and sharing that insight that's in their head with your audience, thus bringing these experts to your audience, giving them the platform. And when you do that, a lot of those experts will obviously point back to you, and some of them might become strategic partners. And the last thing is to throw those marketing messages away, because we hate marketing. We don't like it. I mean, you can't get away from it. And if people hate it, then don't do it. Instead, use your content as a way to draw people in. A subsegment will decide to want more of it, and they'll sign up for your email newsletter, or they'll become a fan on Facebook, and that's the way you ultimately sell to them.
What's the balance? I mean, if somebody is thinking, okay, well, this is a really great idea, but if I'm trying to build a business and all I'm doing is selling other people's content, where does that leave me? So what?
Yeah, so you're not selling other people's content, but
right. I didn't mean that as necessarily.
Yeah, I mean, I understand what you're saying. If you're just giving away free content, when can you sell? Is that what you're asking, or how do you sell? How do you make any money?
Well, yeah. I mean, if you're promoting a whole bunch of if you have a whole bunch of other guest bloggers on your site and whatnot, at what point? What's the balance? I mean, do you suggest, 60-40, so 40% guest and 60% the owner of the blog?
At Social Media Examiner, I post almost never. As a matter of fact, it's completely an army of individuals. We have over 95 writers that write for us. Nobody gets paid. They're part of a movement because there's no ads on there. They want to be part of it. And the end result is we don't sell really hardly ever with our content. Instead, we use this back channel. And by the way, we built $1.7 million business in 12 months using this, and we've done over $2.25 million this year. So we've made millions with this model, and the key is to become like a publisher. So think about it. Right now, with your business, in order to get in front of someone, you have to pay Google, or you have to pay your local radio station, or you have to pay to go in the newspaper. What if you became the publisher? What if you had, the people, so to speak? Not only could you later sell advertising, but more importantly, you would never have to pay anyone else. And as a result, you could radically grow your business and do anything you want on top of this community that you've built. And that's really kind of a way of rethinking. The fact is, if you had 120,000 email subscribers who opened your emails every single day, 25 to 30% daily open rate, how much could you sell through that email channel? How much could you, radically grow your business? And that's what we have, and that's what we've built in a very short period of time.
Yeah, and that's one of the other things that you become very quickly when you align yourself with the types of people that you have that contribute content is you become the go-to person. So when Facebook, when I wake up in the morning and we've been Facebooked again, so there's some new change going on that's been implemented overnight, I go to Social Media Examiner to see what's going on because I know you're covering it.
Right. So if you think about it, we are really no different than your local newspaper or your TV show. Your local news station was back in the day. We've become an indispensable resource, and you have to ask yourself, how can you become, as an author, an indispensable resource to mass amounts of people with the express acknowledgement that 95% of them will never, ever buy from you. Only 5% will. But those other 95% will become evangelists for your content, which will bring tons more people to you, so that 5% becomes much, much bigger as your audience becomes much, much bigger. And those ultra-loyal fans are the ones that will allow you to grow your business. And that's kind of a rethinking of the way we do marketing, especially as book authors. But it's extremely powerful in this social era.
And, let's talk about that for just a second, about the content, because one of the things, I was at Blog World, and one of the things that people talked about, is the importance of really good content. It's not just enough to push some stuff out there. You have turned your readers into evangelists. I talk about your site. We link to your site. We retweet your site. You know what I mean? So when you have good content, but how do you, where do you get the ideas to create the content? Obviously using all these other experts is
Well,
it a
here's the
normal
trick.
health?
Here's the trick. First and foremost, you got to ask people what they want. So we do a survey every year called the Social Media Marketing Industry Survey, where we survey thousands of our readers and we ask them exactly what are the biggest, most pressing questions they want answered. That helps us come up with the content. And then the other thing is we track what's going on in our industry. And because we are in an industry that changes by the day, it's very easy for us to produce content because as long as the industry keeps changing, we're in good shape, you know?
Yeah.
Because people want to keep up with this kind of stuff. But ask people what they want and then give them exactly what they want for free instead of making them buy it from you. And then in the end of the day, when they read your stuff and they say, wow, whether you wrote it or someone else wrote it, you as the owner of that site will get credit for it. And they'll say to themselves, how much more will I learn if I buy their book, if I come to their course, if I fill in the blank? Do you understand where I'm going with that? So it's about establishing yourself as a hub in your community. And when you do that, you can do anything you want for your business.
Well, that's very true. And that's one of the things that I've always been a fan of is giving away really good content. And I'm still amazed at how many people are opposed to that. They say, well, but if I give it away, nobody's going to buy my stuff. And I think you need to give a lot away, as you pointed out, to turn that 5%.
Absolutely. I mean, when my first book came out, before my first book, I wrote a piece called How to Write a White Paper on White Paper. So it was a 10-page document designed to reveal all that I knew about how to write white papers. And my editor said, are you nuts? You're giving away all your secrets. And I knew that by simply doing this, some people would say, okay, this looks kind of complicated. I'm going to hire Mike. And lo and behold, 85,000 people registered for that white paper over a period of years. And then I wrote an entire book on it, and I said, holy cow, I can't believe I've written everything I ever knew about white papers in a book. Mm-hmm. And then before you know it, all these people started asking questions when the book came out. And I wrote enough blog posts to write 2 more books on white papers. So the moral of the story is you can never give away all that you know. You can, and there's really very little risk. Some people, yes, are going to duplicate it and be self-empowered to go do it on their own. But many people are just going to say, all right, I don't have the time to mess around with this. I'm going to hire so-and-so to do it for me. So, you know, the risk of not doing it is much greater than the risk of doing it, because what comes from giving it all away is so much more valuable than keeping it all inside, so to speak.
Yeah, that's very true.
Or locking it away for money.
Right, exactly. We are talking to Mike Stelzner. He is the author of Launch and also the developer of the Social Media Examiner, socialmediaexaminer.com. If you're not subscribed to Social Media Examiner, really you're missing out. So head on over there and sign up right now and get a copy of Launch because first off, I know because we're videotaping this, so you can sort of see
I love those little sticky notes in there.
And all these sticky notes. But something that really changed for me, and of course this is the time of year when we think about, you know, client gifts and things like that. You talk about the 3 gift circles.
Right.
Talk about that.
Well, the key is most of us are giving gifts to obviously our family and our colleagues, but how about giving gifts? And by the way, Seth Godin was the one that came up with the circle, so I don't actually have them all memorized in my head. But the key premise here is to give gifts to people you don't know. And you know, what is a gift? A gift is something that people get without earning it, and it's something that has no strings attached. For example, if it was your daughter's birthday and you gave her a gift and she just turned 4, you would never say, now what are you going to do for me, right?
Right.
So many of us say, like, fill out this form to get a gift, but in reality it's not a gift. They're purchasing it with their information. So just give it away. And the kind of stuff that is a gift for people is the stuff that empowers them to do stuff, like the tips and the techniques and the things that they want answers to. When you give people gifts, many of them will love you, and they'll start sharing your stuff. They'll invite you on their shows, just like you're doing. They'll evangelize you from the hills because you've empowered them. You've enabled them to do something. And this is the secret, if you will, to being successful, is to give with no expectation of anything in return, a true gift. When you do that, you can rapidly build an extremely loyal fan base.
Yeah, and we're actually, it's interesting because we're actually doing that. We're developing, and again, your book was the sort of the impetus behind that. We're developing a gift for our fans. We're developing a gift for the people who evangelize us every single day on Twitter and spread the word and go, oh, the girls at AME and, you know, and all that. Those are the people that oftentimes we forget to thank,
Right,
at the end of the
right.
year. They're the people that keep that traffic coming to your blog and keep people reading.
Absolutely, and a gift doesn't have to be something that you target to individuals. A gift can just be something that is super valuable and people discover, and that's the kind of stuff that you produce with content. Because the great thing about content is it scales a lot more than you defining targets and sending them gifts, and it can work for you forever. So, if you think about your content as a gift and you ask yourself with every piece that you produce, is this really valuable to some people? If it is, then you're doing the right thing. And just keep doing that over and over again, and you'll see a plentiful opportunity come to you.
Absolutely. We're talking today with Michael Stelzner. He is the author of Launch, and he's also the mind behind Social Media Examiner. Michael, I want to thank you so much for being on the show and for everything that you do, because Social Media Examiner, I check in with it every day. We recommend it. Launch is a fabulous book. I reviewed it on Amazon. Love it. I hope you sell 1 million copies. Wouldn't that be
Thank
awesome?
you. Thank you for the review. I appreciate that. And thank you for the kind words. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, absolutely. Michael, thank you so much for being on the show. This is Penny Sansevieri with Author Marketing Experts and Publishing Insiders. And we were very pleased today to have the author of Launch, the mind behind Social Media Examiner, Michael Stelzner. Michael, thank you so much for making the time for this call.
Penny, thank you very much.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.